The silence during the mandatory minicamp at the Star facility in Frisco carried an absurd weight. We, who bled the Lone Star, know well. In Dallas Cowboys, no offseason is ordinary, but the 2026 scenario paints the most challenging front line in our recent history as America's team. The entire national media has put the spotlight on us, not only because of the eternal demand to return to the Super Bowl after 3 decades of drought, but because of the immediate impact of the roster transformations. The atmosphere at headquarters seemed to hold our breath as coach Brian Schottenheimer led practices under palpable pressure. The great truth is that the board has changed drastically after the surprising and painful departure of our main defender to the Green Bay Packers, leaving a leadership vacuum. At the same time, the offense needed to prove that the fine-tuned chemistry between Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb would remain intact, now with the impactful presence of the newly arrived and controversial George Pickens, who signed a franchise contract and finally stepped onto the field. Every repetition, every deep pass, and every tactical adjustment carried the urgency of a team that knows time is running out. There's no room for error when the official NFL schedule decides to test its limits right away. I truly believe this start to the preparation will dictate whether we have a historic run or relive familiar nightmares. The fans feel the electricity and tension behind the scenes of a profoundly remodeled roster, knowing that the coming weeks will define our true competitive identity. To understand how we arrived at this critical point, we need to revisit the history of decisions that shaped the current structure of the Dallas Cowboys. Those who have followed Dallas for a long time know that situations like this usually change everything in the locker room dynamic. The franchise has always prided itself on building its foundations through the draft, honing talents that have become pillars of the league. But the recent aggressiveness of the market has changed the course of things. The massive loss of emblematic defensive players last year forced the management to break with traditional conservatism. Looking back, our reliance on individual flashes of brilliance on the defensive line ended up taking too high a toll in the decisive moments of past playoffs, creating wounds that have not yet healed in the memory of the fans. Before continuing with this timeline, I want to know your feelings. Do you believe this drastic restructuring was the right path, or did the management risk Dallas's future? Leave a like and comment your honest opinion below. The truth is that the transition in defensive leadership, culminating in the departure of Matt Eberflus and the arrival of the new coordinator Christian Parker, formerly of the Eagles, breaks a long cycle of continuity. Dallas has historically oscillated between offensive brilliance and dramatic defensive lapses. This emotional seesaw has built the narrative of a team that dazzles in the regular season, but stumbles under the weight of its own history when the January cold arrives. Recent history shows us that talent without roster depth is a trap, and the Cowboys' recent history is living proof that the Lone Star demands immediate answers. The tactical evolution of this team has undergone a clear metamorphosis in the last few weeks of organized activities. Schottenheimer's coaching staff understood that the offense needed to become less predictable and more explosive vertically. In training, the connection between Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb gained a new layer of complexity, with routes designed to stretch the field. I confess that I didn't imagine this rapid outcome in the development of the new wide receivers, but George Pickens' physical presence, drawing double teams, opened up previously non-existent spaces for intermediate routes. On the sidelines, the physical development of young prospects like running back Jaden Blue, entering his second year much stronger and more mature, shows that our running game philosophy has gained aggressiveness. Furthermore, the reinvention of our defensive line under Christian Parker has brought a system focused on immediate pressure and versatility in the secondary. Rookie Caleb Downs, selected 11th overall, demonstrated an impressive ability to read the game, leading the communication from the backfield like a 5-season veteran. If you want to continue closely following every step of this magnificent evolution towards the regular season, take this opportunity to subscribe to the channel and become part of our community of passionate fans. The evolution we are witnessing at the intersection of experienced athletes and hungry rookies shows that the Dallas Cowboys have finally understood the need to modernize their game plan to combat their NFC East rivals. The Dallas Cowboys' current situation is one of extreme urgency and total focus, with the roster going straight from mandatory minicamp to final preparations before training camp in Oxnard, California. Quarterback Dak Prescott gave the coaching staff a huge scare when he reported knee pain, but he overcame the physical limitation and actively participated in game simulation drills, showing an absurd level of accuracy. There's a detail that almost no one noticed in the team's current medical setup. While stars like Darren Bland and Jalen Thompson remain under intensive rehabilitation with elastic cables, our defensive line has gained the immediate reinforcement of Rashan Gary, recently acquired in a high-impact trade, in addition to first-round rookie Malachi Lawrence. The atmosphere behind the scenes is one of fierce competition for starting spots, especially at left tackle, where the competition is wide open. The fans watching the practices feel the electric atmosphere. The front office managed to secure Brandon Aubrey's stay with a long-term contract, bringing stability to the kicking game in high-pressure situations. However, the stark reality right now is the psychological preparation for a brutal start to the season that the NFL has designed for us. The group knows there will be no time for calm testing and that the coaching staff is demanding maximum intensity from each athlete, creating an atmosphere where mutual accountability is the daily rule within the Stars' facilities. The numbers don't lie and reveal the magnitude of the challenge the Dallas Cowboys will face in the coming weeks. Last season, Dak Prescott cemented his place among the conference elite, finishing second in passing yards per game in the entire league, driven by a fantastic offensive line that remained consistent, finishing sixth in the NFL in lowest percentage of sacks allowed per pass attempt. However, the departure of our former pass rush pillar exposed a severe statistical vulnerability. Without him, the defense lost the element that masked the coverage problems in the secondary. To mitigate this impact, the front office sought Rashan Gary, who has accumulated 46.5 sacks in his career and recorded 7.5 last year, although he faced a dry spell in the last 9 games of the season. To complement the pressure numbers, rookie Malachi Lawrence arrives backed by an impressive record of 19.5 sacks accumulated in the last 3 seasons in college football at UCF. On the offensive side, the 3-year contract extension for running back Javonte Williams attempts to revive a rushing yardage average that has drastically declined in crucial red zone situations. Statistically, the Dallas Cowboys enter the year carrying the responsibility of balancing the 4th toughest schedule in the entire NFL based on the opponent's win percentage from the previous year, making every number and every third down conversion efficiency a life-or-death factor for our division aspirations. Analyzing everything happening behind the scenes, it's clear that the Dallas coaching staff is betting everything on a high-risk, high-reward strategy. In my view, this could be one of the most important moments of the entire season, as the NFL has set a logistical trap for the Cowboys right at the start of the year. Between weeks 3 and 5, the team will face an insane sequence of 3 games in just 12 days, including an unprecedented international trip to Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, to face the Baltimore Ravens. Immediately after the exhaustion of the international flight, the team will hit the road without rest to face the physical defense of the Houston Texans in a midday game, followed by a short week matchup against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It's a brutal sequence that will test the team's physical stamina. Dak Prescott downplayed the weight of the schedule, stating that the team's experience playing 3 games in 11 days during the traditional Thanksgiving period will serve as emotional protection. However, a cold analysis shows that the real turning point will come soon after, in weeks 6 and 7, when Dallas faces the Green Bay Packers at Lambeau Field, with a real chance to reunite with our former defensive idol, now recovered from his knee injury. And then the ultimate rivalry classic against the Philadelphia Eagles on the road. After this overwhelming start, we will know exactly the true potential of this roster in the quest for the playoffs. Every detail analyzed so far shows us that the Dallas Cowboys are walking a tightrope in 2026, where glory and failure are separated by an extremely thin line. The coaching staff rebuilt both sides of the ball, the rookies brought renewed energy, and the veterans took on the responsibility in the face of one of the most difficult scenarios the league has ever imposed on our team. Now the ball is in the team's court on the field to prove the worth of the Lone Star. If you want to stay up to date on absolutely everything, with daily analysis and exclusive behind-the-scenes information straight from the Star, don't waste any time. Subscribe to the channel now, activate the notification bell to receive our videos first, and share this content in your Cowboys fan groups. Our journey to the top of American football requires the massive support of the world's largest fan base. We've left the analysis on the table and the training on the field, but the big question continues to echo loudly in the mind of every America's team fan. Will this drastic overhaul and Dak Prescott's mental fortitude be enough to overcome this brutal schedule and finally take us back to the Super Bowl? Or are we about to witness another year of gigantic expectations ending in painful frustration? The fate of our season begins to be written now.